the first trailer for Joker 2, and Muller, you might have to help me with the pronunciation of this one. Filet adieu.
Why would you go for me instead of Little Platoon?
Either of you, really. You're my co-host. That's your job.
French. I can't speak French. I think it's Filet adieu.
Yeah.
Filet adieu.
Beautiful.
Not filet. There's no accent.
It's fully, isn't it? Filet adieu.
It's filet of fish, guys.
Listen, I ain't French, okay? I'll pronounce it the Welsh way.
Blah, 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 blah. Just dump a bunch of fucking vowels onto the page and away you go. I was going to show you the trailer, but I can't do the audio because it's essentially like one giant licensed soundtrack, so I can't really do that. But I'll just bring it up so we can skip to the various parts as still images. But I assume we all had the chance to see it over the past couple of days, and I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on it. I suppose I'll bring it up just so I can reference bits that you want to talk about. I suppose I'm not going to play it right now, so you feel free to talk away. I can just skip to wherever you want to go.
We can start at. I assume everyone agreed we shouldn't be getting a sequel for this film. That seemed to be a talking point that most people were on board with.
I was on board with that one, yes.
If it's going to get one, you want the same team that made the first one to be making it, because I'm not interested at all if you remove Joaquin Phoenix or Todd Phillips at this point. Or the, is it Hilda Gunnadata or something? Is she does the soundtrack? I want her in as well. I want everyone back, all right? That's what I assume if this one does well. If they do a third one and Todd Phillips leaves, it'll be like, about because they have a way of telling this story, and if the people who told the first one are telling more of it, I'm more interested in giving it a shot. But I'm of the camp, and I think everyone was, that the first one was one and done. It was really solid. I don't see why you need to continue. But that's Earth for you, I suppose.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a billion reasons why they made a second one, but the question is, do you think that this one will be commercially successful?
Certainly not as commercially successful. I don't think it'll be as blow away as the first one, but I could see this one working out.
I could see this actually being more successful than the previous. I wouldn't be surprised. I almost don't want it to, but I think it might, because I think the hype around it is going to be fucking huge. I think the first one made such an impact, and I don't know, man. There just seems to be a lot of there seems to be a lot of buzz. There seems to be a lot of interest around this. It just feels like something that's going to be a big deal.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'll just put it out there. I assume the fact that it's a musical is going to hold it back somewhat. Not like destroy it or anything, but I just general audiences. I imagine there's not going to be as many repeat viewings for musicals.
Who knows? Again, it feels like with this one, anything could happen. When I first heard about this, one, that they were going to be doing a sequel to Joker, I didn't like the idea, and two, that it was going to be a musical. And then three, it was going to have Lady Gaga in it. It just seemed like a recipe for absolute disaster. And then I saw this trailer and I thought, actually,
wait, help me out. What's that based on? Is it because of things Lady Gaga says in real life? Or are you basing that on things you've seen her in before?
No, I'm basing it on the fact that she's a fucking pop star and she's not an actor necessarily. I know
she's not just become an actor. She's been acting for a while now.
I know, and I know she was in that thing with Bradley Cooper. What the fuck was that called again?
Star is Born. And she did House of Gucci. That's it, right? Those are the two she's done.
Yeah, I know she
was an American Horror Story as well.
Oh.
Yeah, but I guess the idea of casting her in something like this, she still feels like a bit of a gimmick, and so that put me off. If I was to class her compared to Joaquin Phoenix, I do not consider them to be in the same league in terms of experience and acting chops.
I don't think anyone's making that claim, though. I just no. If I have any reason to think that she might actually be one of the best suited people for this role. I want someone who can sing, and if we can get someone who can act, that would be wonderful too. As far as I'm aware, she can.
Come on, it doesn't matter if they can actually sing. You can fucking auto-tune people to within an inch of their life. Their actual singing.
I don't fucking want auto-tune in my music.
Well, no one does. I'm just saying, it can be done.
Jesus, have some standards.
You're gonna get it. Everything is auto-tuned now. Even stuff where you don't hear it, everything is auto-tuned now. That's why when you go back and you listen to a great experiment is that like take a teenager or somebody in their early 20s and play them music from the 90s that doesn't have any auto-tune on it. And a lot of the time they think it's a bad vocal because they've been raised with this disgusting sterilized auto-tuned shite. Everything gets auto-tuned now.
Yeah, everything's going to be meddled with in post for sure, but like her raw ability as a singer is going to be fucking leagues ahead of the vast majority of actresses.
Well, yeah, for sure. I guess if I was to choose though, like film being primarily a visual medium that requires acting ability, I would pick an actor over a singer any day of the week. I would rather have an actor that could deliver a stunning performance and maybe their vocals aren't quite there, but we can fix that with auto-tune versus...
But the thing is, you have no idea what she's capable of as an actress.
Well, I know. I 100% agree. And I was simply like explaining my rationale when I first heard about all this stuff. That was where my initial thoughts were. But having seen the trailer, okay, I'm interested. I'm willing to give this a chance and go into it with an open mind.
I would recommend you check out A Star Is Born if you want to have an idea of what she's capable of.
I've seen it, and yeah,
well,
she's good. But yeah, she is good. But that's one movie.
But all you need to know is that she's capable, which now we know, right?
Sure. Yeah. I guess I'm always I'm always going to have this issue with someone who started off as a pop star and then transitioned into acting, and okay, they might have had, say, a good performance in one film, which is great, but it doesn't change the fact that they're not necessarily an actor by trade. They have moved into that, and it just, I guess, it created that that association in my mind. You know, I'm sure we've seen plenty of movies where you have people from other fields that have tried to get into acting, and it hasn't always ended well.
There is always a slight suspicion, isn't there, that the motive is maybe not as pure as it might be. I remember when is it Harry Styles found his way into Dunkirk somehow?
Yeah,
that was a strange one.
That was a very strange one. Now he doesn't have too much to do. Ed Sheeran in Game of Thrones is a really good example. Yeah, I should have picked that one. But there's always like the suspicion. Okay, if you're changing genre massively toward a musical and you're bringing in a well-known, popular female artist who is predominantly a singer. I'm not saying she can't act. I've not seen her in anything, so I can't judge, but there's probably the suspicion that the motive is this is a way to expand your audience in a direction more than it necessarily is a reflection of casting on talent. Is a fair suspicion, I'd say, but the proof will only be in what we get as a result. I am basically allergic to musicals, though, so whether I even get through the door to see this one, I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, because I think the first Joker, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like it didn't really attract much of a female audience, and I'm curious if this one will, because first of all, it's a musical, but also there's this female interest in trauma bonded relationships, hence the vast success that Twilight saw. And then there was also this like whole subset of the internet that was obsessed with the Suicide Squad because of the trauma bonded relationship between the Joker and Margot Robbie's character.
Aren't they the commonality though? Aren't they usually quite attractive though? Like I can't see anyone looking at Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker and saying, I can fix him.
That's what I'm wondering.
It's like I don't want to fix him. A plastic surgeon has to fix him.
It's not like 50 Shades of Grey where both of them are really attractive. It's not quite that. But I don't know. I'm really curious if like suddenly a lot more women are going to be interested in this movie.
I think that's a fair cop. Like if they're generally more invested in relationship dramas and that sort of thing, like the dynamics between two people, maybe they're going to get more bought into this one. I don't know what the demographics were for the original Joker, whether it was a predominantly male-led audience or what.
Yeah, I mean,
I suppose
anecdotally, it was only the men in my life that were interested in going and watching it. I didn't hear any of the women, but that's just purely anecdotal.
The thing for me is I don't really care about her music at all, and what I mean by that is like that hasn't affected my view of her that much. In fact, I knew barely anything about her, so seeing her in A Star Is Born, I was like, oh, Lady Gaga. Like, oh, this is obviously bringing her in for popularity, right? And then you watch it and you're like, oh shit, okay, she's like, fair enough. Like you can pulling off some seeds that are pretty difficult here. And so now seeing this, I'm just like, oh yeah, I guess that makes sense. You bring someone in who can bring in an audience her own, but then she's also able to sing, also able to act, and the role is going to be in a musical. She's also kind of weird. So,
I mean, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Like crazy. So I don't know. Like to me, it just seems like one of the most obvious choices. But we'll see for sure. Like it could end up being a bad choice.
We want an unhinged psychopath. Yes, the natural choice is Lady Gaga. We'll pick her. She will repress her.
Instead, yeah. Well, because Joaquin Phoenix does a lot of fucking out there roles, you know. Like
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see on that. This film though, as I don't know if you guys have seen the discourse, but like the final shot of it, if you can grab it up there, Drinker, got a lot of praise, and then as counterculture does, it got a shit ton of criticism soon after. Like, so it went from people saying like, this is a wonderful shot, what an amazing job, and it has so much you can dig out of it for meaning, and can't wait to see the context of it in the film. And that, I think, lasted about a day. And then people were like, have you never seen films before? Oh, little baby appreciated their first ever movie. And it's like, oh, shit.
You need to improve your media diet.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think it's just going to be a repeat of what happened with the first Joker, which is a lot of people got very angry that people were appreciating it so much when it's like, you should be talking about how it's a ripoff of Taxi Driver. You should be talking about how
it's king of comedy. Like,
yeah. And so I would call them the film bros, and not even doing that derogatorily. I've been known to dabble in film bro culture. But, it's unfortunate that we can't say, like, it's really cool, the influences that are in the film and what we've done as an adaptation of a different thing, combining elements of this and making this, and that Todd Phillips has grown from what we all see as like, oh, he does boner comedies or just sort of things that we don't really care about, but kind of like appreciate and laugh at. He's made a serious film that regards a lot of topics that are quite, you got to be careful about how you approach them in modern day. And his film got shat on by media for being one that's going to create shooters and stuff. And yet it persevered, box office, obviously, Oscars, and just general appreciation from critics. And now it's getting its sequel, which to me, I just feel like, oh God, are we getting around to, is that what's going to happen?
I feel like there's this antagonism towards the first Joker movie, and it was almost like, I don't know, man. I hate to bring the meta of politics and crap into it, but it's inescapable in some cases where I can't shake the notion that they were angry that you had a movie that dared to suggest that a straight white male lead might have problems in life and might be abandoned by society and might actually be someone who is deserving of pity, and that there's an interesting story to tell about a person like that. I think there was elements within the media and within contemporary culture that just got real mad that general audiences really got behind a character like that.
I mean, there were some absolutely crazy takes from what I recalled at the time. I mean, Morna mentioned one of them, all the people talking about how Joker might go and create the impetus for shootings and all the rest of that stuff. There were some absolutely mad takes. They did all go in one particular direction. I don't think that you could be accused of injecting politics into it yourself to point out that a lot of people were primarily concerned about Joker for its political themes. And most of them didn't like it or didn't like what they thought it was going to be.
I rarely get to bring this up, so I have to take advantage of it. We once did a podcast covering Jenny Nicholson's opinion of this film. She, at one point in this awful video she made, theorized that Joker's point as a film was you shouldn't take your medicine. And we were like, no. It's about a lot more than that. And this is the thing. There was a wave of cringe-worthy takes about how bad Joker is. I'm totally fine with criticizing it. There's plenty we can talk about in where it sits in the meta and media of film or whatever versus others, and how well it's executed in terms of its story, how much you felt watching it, what it means as an adaptation of Batman Joker, all that sort of stuff. But like some of the stuff people were coming out with, this is a disgusting movie that's designed to make everyone angry at people and to start killing each other. You're like, why are you doing this to this film? You don't need to. Just because everyone like kind of liked it, I mean, it's fine. Because if you roll your minds back, do you remember, Drinker? Like, we were all very pessimistic about this film. Joker 1, I mean.
fuck, and now we're going back a little ways.
Even further back than the trailer for the first film, I think we were all like, why the fuck are they doing this?
I think, yeah, you know what? I think it might have been that period where we hadn't had a more serious superhero or, comic book adaptation type movie for a very long time. And maybe there was a feeling of, oh God, does this fucking character really need an origin story? Do we care?
Yeah.
Like, where's this going? And
especially
so we didn't really
Joker
appreciate
from Suicide Squad. I think that made a lot of people very angry. Yeah, sorry to cut you up.
No, that's fine. I was just winding up anyway. So yeah, I get where you're coming from on that one, Mauler. I'm just agreeing that, like, I wasn't sure if that was feeding into a larger point that you were about to make there.
What I was trying to push is just that we were against it, and then we were like, shit, man. And the film, I remember Gary talking to him about it, like it kind of earned its place. We were like, all right, fine, you're good. I like the cinematography, I like the performances, I like the paces, I like the way that they do the twists about the way his mind works, I like the point it makes, I like all of the sets, the costumes, I love the atmosphere. Yes, fine, I like it, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But as time went on, like it just happens. I think the big counterculture movement started up, and this movie's not even out yet, but people are getting ready to have fights over it because there's discussions of whether Todd Phillips should be appreciated as a real filmmaker or not, because like that guy made The Hangover. It's like, well, Hangover's pretty funny. I don't know. It's not that bad.
Yeah.